Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Fantasy Fullback Dive, brought to you by the good people at the Roto Street Journal, paving your way to fantasy excellence, acting as your lead blocker on your way to fantasy glory, making all your football-related fantasies come true. I'm your host, Nat the Truth Jones. We are coming at you at 4 o'clock on a Thursday, because we got stuff to do. Other than this, although this is probably our favorite thing we're doing today, I'm with the Wolf of Roto Street himself, as always. I'm interested to see what kind of crowd we get from 4 to 6, Wolf. What did we draw, like 2,300 last time?
Yeah. So we'll see if we can compete with it, trying out a new time frame. It's been great on the Twitter, the X streams. We're getting tons of people there. YouTube hasn't been quite as active, so we're switched because of that, kind of just to try something out new. But also, I thought the Red Sox were about to be at 6, and they moved the game to 8, so I guess we didn't even need to move it for any reason anyways. But I'm excited to get it kind of just get all your questions. We've had a couple busy Thursdays where we've been like rushing right through because you guys have been filling the mailbag and it's been amazing. So keep filling that mailbag. But I didn't want to have to rush either as well, just to get off the air before the Red Sox and all that stuff. So yeah, we'll test it out. And if you told me Rams 49ers coming up on Thursday Night Football, I would have been stoked. 2 3-1 teams.
Sure.
Blockbuster battle. First place of the division on the line tonight. And it's a JV squad for the 49ers. It's pathetic. Just kind of folding, so it would seem. But we'll see. 8.5 points to cover, Truth, and a 46.5 over-under. Where are you leaning on this one?
That's a lot of points. And it's still kind of hard for me not to leave the Rams' way. I mean, the 49ers, I know the Rams are not known for their home field advantage or anything like that, but they are a team. They're bringing their Matt Stafford looks great. Puka Nacua is, there's a lot of buzz saying he's the best receiver in the NFL right now. And the 49ers are decimated. I mean, absolutely decimated right now. We could go down the list, and I'm sure we will. So I think I'm leaning towards the Rams and the under. What about you?
Yeah, I'm with you on both fronts. I do think 8.5 seems like a lot to cover.
It does. It is.
It's the, again, just ridiculous JV lineup that we got for the 49ers, and just a couple other nuggets on that sense. The Niners are 0-6 against the spread as underdogs since 2022. So when they're big underdogs, they typically are deservedly big underdogs as well. They're also 10-0 in games after a loss since last year. I don't think that trend is going to buck suddenly. I think this is the year that flips over, because the Rams are just so much better at every sense of, even if they were fully healthy, I think the Rams are the better team.
I do too.
When you're facing, their number one receivers, Kendrick Bourne, we'll talk about it and try to predict if they even have a viable receiver tonight. But yeah, I think I'm going Rams. I am tempted to go the under with you there, but I also could just see the Rams putting up like 35 points, and you really just need 14 or so from the 49ers in garbage time, which you still might not get because it is, like I said, a JV squad that they're playing tonight. But yeah, I'm going to go Rams for sure. And I do like the under, but I feel like that's what, again, we hear everybody saying, which means it's probably something's not right there if everybody thinks it. Maybe it's a tougher divisional battle, but McVay has had Shanahan's number in recent history too. So I feel great about the Rams at minimum.
I didn't know everyone was saying that. That does make me a little bit nervous. But to me, this game seems like a 27-14, something like comfortable win. Obviously if the Rams throw another touchdown on top of that, which they totally could, then the under is bust. But and I don't know. Maybe I should be more worried about a spread like that. That is a big spread, but I don't believe this game's going to be super competitive. I've been wrong plenty of times. So we'll see.
We'll see. I think it's even more competitive. Less competitive than you gave it credit for. 27-13. I'm thinking 30-7.
30-6, something like that.
I'm worried that this game is just going to blow. But we'll see. I just think the Rams are a very legit team. I think the Niners, when healthy, are a very solid team. But again, we can talk about some of the players. It will start maybe. Let's start with the studs, like the exciting stuff. Christian McCaffrey is the last man standing. So again, you've got nobody else to throw to. And McCaffrey right now, his over-under prop is 7.5 for receptions, which is insane. I think that might be the highest I've ever seen for a running back, 7.5. And I still think it's way too low. I would hammer the over on that one. Last time with Mac Jones and a healthy Pearsall, and I believe Jennings played that game as well, 15 targets, 10 catches, and 88 yards as a pass catcher. So I think, again, we're in for another 15 target day. He's averaging 35% target share per route run. And his receiving yards line is 54.5. If you didn't want to go up on those receptions, at least hammer that 54.5 as a pass catcher. He's definitely going to receive for at least that, in my opinion. Do you see any world that he doesn't?
No, I mean, to me, like in my brain, I'm seeing like a 10, 11 catch day for like less yards than you would expect, like 11 catches, 62 yards or something like that. Because you know they're going to be waiting for it. They know he's getting the ball. I'm expecting him to catch a bunch out of the backfield and get stuffed after 5 or 6 yards. But yeah, I wonder what kind of odds you could get on 10 catches.
Yeah, I wonder. That's a good call too. Like how much to keep betting it up. I'll have to look at that as we're going live here as well. It could be like that Gibbs game. Remember like week 1 where Gibbs had, I think it was 10 catches, but it was for 30 yards.
34 yards, something like that. Yeah.
It was the lowest amount of yards ever gained on 10 catches. McCaffrey could potentially.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. I mean, the Rams, you have to think the Rams are stacking.
100%.
Like, hey, he's going to be catching these out of the backfield. Is Mac Jones QB in tonight? I had heard rumors he might be hurt. Is that true, or are we down another notch?
He's banged up, but he is playing tonight. He's expected to be given it a go. And again, 15 targets, 10 catches, 88 yards for McCaffrey last time out. Yep. He is. I mean, if you just looked at him as a pass catcher, as a receiver, without even thinking about his rushing, he is, I'd say, a top 10 wide receiver in terms of his routes. Like, if you put him as just a slot receiver, he'd be one of the best in the league. And that's what they might end up having to do tonight. So obviously, we're not even saying you're considering starting or benching or anything. You're obviously playing Christian McCaffrey. It's more we're thinking about his betting lines. And I do like both the receiving, as crazy as they are, as high as they are for receiving yards and catches for running back. I still think I'm hitting the over on both of those.
I agree with you. I just would say going into the year, if I said to you, hey, man, hey, Wolf, week 5, San Francisco, Thursday night, we got real injury problems. You'd be like, oh, McCaffrey, right? I'd be like, no, everyone else.
So ironic that he's the last man. Yeah. So ironic, Truth, that he's the last man standing of all these 49ers. McCaffrey's the one standing tall, spitting on our face. Because again, I said to fade the guy with the caveat, like if he stays healthy, it's a choose your own adventure. I'm not saying fade him on any bit of talent.
Right.
But I can't do it again. And right now he's punishing me. Let's see him make it through the year. But he's going to have another monster game. And another guy, I will admit, 2 years in a row, I have not been right about what late round receiver is the right one to target. Because I said Puka Nacua is my least favorite of them. I was worried about. I wish that report on Stafford's back never came out. Like that's the tricky thing. And I want to keep making note of it as like part of my process. When you're looking at first rounders, you're just trying to find any hair to split. What's one reason to bump this guy below another? I love all 4 of these wide receivers. So give me something. And then a nugget pops up. Stafford's back is a concern. He's in a chamber of – this report came out that he was in these like futuristic chambers getting an epidural. I remember was the report that he had an epidural. Like I know my wife had an epidural when she was delivering a baby. If that's how bad his back pain was, I was nervous. And I think everybody rightfully got a little bit nervous. And he became the guy that's like, if I have to pick one of these guys to fade, it's probably Puka Nacua. And clearly that couldn't have been more wrong. I tweeted out earlier this week, if you were drafting today and you had the first overall pick, like, it's Nacua and it's a no-brainer. As much as I love Bijan, I love CMC, it's Nacua in my opinion. Would you disagree at all?
It's hard to disagree with that. And I would just like to say I would love to be able to throw in your face that you faded Nacua when we came to the first rounders, borderline first rounders, second rounders. I agreed with you 100%. And this is not one of these things where you made a case. There's plenty of times where you make a case and I'm convinced by it. I came in with my own opinion on this and I agreed with you completely. I was like, we're talking like top 15. He's like 15. It's like, I'm not taking this guy in the first round. No way. Maybe I take him at the turn if everything falls right. Maybe, but I don't really like him even there. We were in the same boat, and now it's really hard to come up with someone I would definitively take over him if we were drafting, which is crazy.
I know. Absolutely nuts. And the craziest part of it is like, okay, well, if he's killing it this much, Adams must be a flop there. No, Adams is the top 7 wide receiver so far in points per game. He's killing it too. And so those 2 big worries, Adams coming in, a guy that had top 3 target shares in his whole career for almost 10 straight years, comes in, still getting fed quite heavily. the concern about Matthew Stafford in the back, he's making throws that are better than 99% of the league right now. And so Nakua ends up just being completely absurd. Just to like illustrate how crazy this guy is, he has 43 catches. I don't know if you're looking at the show notes or if you've already seen it. Do you know what the next closest guy in receptions is?
I haven't looked.
Don't look. Take a guess as to, so 43 is Puka. He's leading the NFL. Who's the next closest and what number of catches do they have? 43 Puka lead the way through 4 games, which is insane. Over 10 receptions a game. Insane.
This is embarrassing. I know Amon-Ra has a ton of touchdowns. I don't know. Say Amon-Ra 35.
So Amon-Ra is the right guess. He is number 2, tied with Garrett Wilson. So well done.
Thanks.
He's number 2 with, again, Puka's 43. Amon-Ra is 27. Like almost 20 more catches than the next closest
I really thought I was cheating, lowballing a little bit on 35.
No, like that's how crazy it is that Puka, that's the gap. Like absolutely just a complete league of his own so far. He's the first player in NFL history to go 500 yards through 4 games twice in his career, and he's only been in the NFL for 3 years.
That's like 60% more catches than the number 2 guy.
Isn't that crazy? Like
it's pretty crazy. That's the equivalent of like running for 1,600 yards and the second place person runs for 1,000.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
exactly.
That's nuts. Okay.
Absolutely nuts. So again, yeah, first person to ever go 500 yards through 4 games in NFL history twice. And he's, again, only played for 3 seasons. So insane there. He's averaging 27.4 fantasy points per game, and he only has 1 touchdown. That might be the craziest part of this all, is he's doing all this on pure yards and receptions. And that actually is like, he has room to somehow grow from 27.4 points per game. And to help ground that, Cooper Kupp, that insane year we all remember and love, he was at 25.9 points per game. So he's like almost 2 points better than what Kupp was doing per game. And we know Kupp had a ton of touchdowns to go with that. So if like Puka, and he's very well could and should add some more touchdowns to his resume. He's so shifty. He's got a big size. He knows how to use it. Like there's no reason Puka can't become an insane touchdown scorer. So he's averaging, he could get up to 30 points per game and just like completely.
I mean, look, we talk about touchdowns being fluky. I mean, and to some degree they are. If you have 43 catches over 4 games, it's fluky that you only got 1. So like, you know, we wait for these things to kind of average out. The average is more touchdowns. I mean, that's what you should be expecting, which is crazy. And just as a quick sob story for myself, last week I played against the wide receiver tandem of Puka and Amon-Ra. So I got decimated.
That is a pig roast of epic proportion.
And Malik Neighbors also was on my team and wasn't by the end of the week.
No, so sad. Pouring out for him.
Yeah.
Oh, brutal. But yeah, back-to-back 15 target days, back-to-back 50 targets through 4 games. It just doesn't get any more incredible than him.
Wait, did you say 50 targets?
Back-to-back 50 targets through 4 games.
So, but the other part of that is 43 catches. That means 86% of the time he gets thrown to, he catches it.
Insane.
That's
and if you watch, like, they're insane grabs. Half the time it's like a toe tap with 2 bodies on him, and it's just him and Stafford have that synergy that's on a completely different
Stafford level. Has this way of clicking with people, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. The Breakfast Club, baby.
Breakfast Club.
Unbelievable.
All right.
But as we go from Puka and absurdity, let's go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum, the 49ers wide receivers. And as we do, folks, we already have 600 of you here for the first 13 minutes. That's not bad at all. Right on pace to get back to 2,000 or so live viewers. Thank you so much for joining us. I know the time is a little different than usual, but hey, this might be even better. It's kind of better for our schedule. So if it works for you guys, then all the better. Please do consider hitting that thumbs up button, the heart, the share, the retweet, all that good stuff. Helps us get out to more people, continue to grow. And of course, consider subscribing to us on YouTube as we make the climb towards 5,000. But I do have to say, Truth, we're covering 49ers wide receivers. Are any viable? And I know it might just seem like, oh, you're just doing this for betting or DFS. I'm desperate enough that I'm considering tossing one of these guys in my lineup tonight with all the injuries, with the bye weeks now hitting. I think other people are probably out there wondering, like, hey, I need a wide receiver plug-in. Can I find something tonight? And I don't know. I have Malik Washington as my wide receiver 3 right now with the Tyreek injury. I'm probably keeping him in. But I got to say, at least one wide receiver from the Niners is tempting me. And if I had to pick one of them, it's Kendrick Bourne. So let's talk about him and why. And again, already I try to give a hype intro, and it's like Kendrick Bourne is the answer. I don't think anybody can be that excited about this reveal. But if you need something, let's talk about it. Second in snaps, routes, and targets across the last 2 weeks. He joined the team just 3 weeks ago. And since then, he's gotten right in there. He was a former 49er, so he's played with Shanahan before. And maybe even more importantly is he's played with Mac Jones before. In fact, he had a huge year with Mac Jones his rookie season. He was kind of the big, deep threat, like one of the most efficient wide receivers. If I'm not mistaken, he finishes a top 25 wide receiver in points per game that year as well. And I'm not saying we're going to get back to that Kendrick Bourne. But again, when you're second in snaps, routes, and targets the last 2 weeks, and that's with Pearsall and Jennings in, both guys are out today. Other than Christian McCaffrey, who else are you throwing to? Jake Tonjes, which is like the tight end. He's averaging 16.5% targets per route run. He's, in fact, not a horrible tight end flyer. If you need something at the position, he's had 2 top 12 weeks in the 4 weeks so far. So Jake Tonjes is actually somewhat viable tonight. But if I needed a pass catcher, a wide receiver, to me, I think it's Kendrick Bourne. Given the pre-established rapport with Mac Jones, given the usage has been there these last 2 weeks, and now the path's even clearer to be the number one guy. If I have to throw a dart, I don't think I'm going to bench Malik Washington for him, but I'm probably – I don't know. I keep going back and forth. So let me know, you guys out there, if you think I'm crazy for even considering benching Malik Washington for Kendrick Bourne. But that's the weeds we're in. That's the weeds a lot of people are in. I know you're desperate for a wide receiver fill-in. Has Kendrick Bourne crossed your mind at all?
Well, would you rather start Stephon Diggs or Kendrick Bourne?
Oh, well, Stephon Diggs, of course.
Then no, he hasn't.
You're not as desperate as me. You're not. You're not.
No, I feel pretty desperate. Like I said, I've lost Mike Evans and I've lost Malik Neighbors, so I do feel pretty desperate. I'm not in Kendrick Bourne territory yet, but I understand why you're saying this. Who have you lost to put you in a position where you're thinking about this?
So Mike Evans got banged up. And I'll admit my wide receivers were not great. I didn't spend well in the auction. I have Mike Evans hurt. I have Matthew Golden, who sucks anyways, but he's on bye this week. And I have a Bears wide receiver. They're on bye. Not a Doomsday. I think DJ
not Rome.
Not Rome, sadly. I wish I had Rome. Okay. Number 3 in fantasy scoring. And that was actually you already know. I was going to quiz you, but then I realized you already have this player. The top 4 scoring wide receivers are Puka, St. Brown, Rome Odunze, and
Quentin.
number 4.
Is it Quentin?
It's Quentin Johnston. Oh, yeah. So I do have him, thankfully. He's like the leader of my wide receiver core right now. It's just I do not have good wide receivers.
Did you draft
Quentin? I have Gibbs and Dobbins is killing it, but I lost Kittle. I lost Lamar. It's not going so well for me right now. 2-2, but barely breathing.
Did you draft Quentin?
Rice, of course. I'm waiting for that guy to get back as well.
Did you draft Quentin or did you get him off waivers?
I got him off waivers. I spent like $20 or so on week 1 waivers, and thank God I did because he's a godsend.
I also spent about $20 on Quentin after week 1.
Best 20 I've ever spent. So in terms of the other wide receivers, there is Demarcus Robinson, who's been a stud in the past. He's played very, very well for the Rams at times. He had that stretch run 2 years ago where he showed he could be a true alpha, was a top 7 wide receiver in fantasy over the last 4 weeks. So there is like room for Demarcus Robinson to potentially be a guy. Skyy Moore is from the Chiefs is actually on the Niners. I kind of forgot that till today in terms of researching this. He'll probably be locked into the slot role. Never going to trust Skyy Moore though. If I had to go that low, and we're talking now probably no one's going to start. Kendrick Bourne's out there. If you need to start a wide receiver, make it Kendrick Bourne from this team. But if we're talking DraftKings showdown, who's a guy that could pop off? The only other one I'll toss out there is Marquez Valdez Scantling. If you're going for a big risk,
deep cut.
Deep cuts. He's actually with the Niners right now. And there was a stretch run last year where he went 25 points and 16 points on back-to-back weeks for the New Orleans Saints. And then he had 11, 9, and 8 after that. He was pretty viable. And I don't think we're going to get anything crazy. But again, for 2,600 in those DraftKings showdown lineups, I don't mind plugging in MVS as a nice Hail Mary punt, and that way I can ideally get Puka and Christian McCaffrey into my lineups if I'm playing some DFS tonight. So that's, again, Kendrick Bourne. If you're desperate for a wide receiver this week, he's the one that I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel for the 49ers for. Not feeling great about it, but again, let us know if you're down there in the weeds with us and you're trying to find that streamer, Kendrick Bourne versus XYZ. Toss it out there. We have a pretty full mailbag already, and we're happy to field any of those questions.
Is down there in the weeds with us the right phrase? I feel like it's like the gutter.
The weeds is too kind.
The weeds, like, there's a bunch of nice fields that have weeds in it. You can also, in the weeds is kind of like you're creeping around. I think it's more like we're in a ditch.
You're in the trenches.
right.
We're back in World War I with corpses all over
and
us.
It's like, I remember one time in college, it was a long time ago, obviously, because I'm old. I remember I was partying, and then I just remember waking up, and I was just like, I woke up and I was like in this ditch, and I kind of like looked up and looked around, and I went to Virginia Tech. You could just see Blacksburg like in the distance. Like, I'm not sure how I got to where I was. I was like a mile or two outside of town. I was just in a ditch. That's kind of right. I've come a long way since then.
Just completely disoriented. No.
Yeah, like I was like, this is crazy. I was like, I'm going to tell this story for the next 25 years. And here it is coming up again. So yeah, I think that would be more accurate. If you're in a little
kind to the situation. Grandpa tells me a story about being in the trenches of World War I, and I tell him, "Oh, my problems, Kendrick Bourne or Malik Washington. Right. I'm really in the trenches, Grandpa. What do I do?" Right. And he's like, "What? Yeah, our problems, first world here."
Right. These are, admittedly, these are first world problems.
But I like it. It's a great comparison, for sure. All right, you guys.
Tunes wants to know if I had both kidneys when I climbed out of the ditch. Yes.
Survived. Yeah, you came away with all your internal organs.
They were damaged due to like alcohol consumption, I guess. Well, I guess that's the liver, really. Yeah, I'd had both kidneys. I was good.
That's good. Anytime you come out of the ditch with both kidneys.
Anytime you come out with all your vital organs, that's a win.
You've done well. All righty, guys. We're 20 minutes in. We're just going to rip through. It's about 7 or 8 nuggets. There's not a ton right now. I saved most of the news for the Sunday morning 8 a.m. stream for you guys. But me and Trick will alternate real quick. Just a few things. There's a bunch of quarterbacks to be tracking. We got about 750 of you here, 20 minutes in. You love to see it. Thank you so much for being here. We'll get on to all your questions in about 5 minutes after we rip through this news, starting with Lamar Jackson not practicing today. Doesn't seem like he will be in line to play in week 5. You have to have a backup plan. I have Lamar in my main league. Somebody dropped Dak before Sunday Night Football last week. He looked good even without CD, so I paid $10. Now I have Dak. But if you need another backup plan, I don't think you go to Mac Jones tonight. We got to find something better. Let us know if you're scrambling for a backup option, though, for Lamar Jackson, and we can help you try to piece that together today.
All right, Jaden Daniels, he was medically cleared to return to practice and was expected to log a full practice Wednesday. I believe he did. He's been out the last 2 weeks because of this knee injury he got in week 2. So unless there's any setbacks, we expect him to be playing in week 5. Unless you got great options, if he's playing in week 5, you're starting him, right?
Absolutely, 100%. And I saw that they're 3-point underdogs right now to the Chargers. And Chargers are at home. I understand that, but they just lost to the Giants. And the Commanders with Jaden Daniels, a very dangerous team. So I don't mind that bet at all. Baker Mayfield, he's back at practice. You probably expected this guy to gut it out with the knees, the biceps, the injury. He'll be out there on the field. And with Godwin starting to work it out, with Bucky Irving potentially out this game, likely out, it would seem. I think we're going to need to lean on Baker Mayfield, and I'm happy to start him on +4 ECR on the guy this week.
Yeah, we both admitted he might be our sneaky favorite player to watch in the NFL last week.
I mean, we saw it against the Eagles. Why? Like they were down big. He gutted it back. They almost took the game again. I just love how they never quit. They're always in a game with Baker Mayfield, even against the defending Super Bowl champs. So, yeah, I love the guy. So
it was a lot of fun. J.J. McCarthy did not practice on Thursday. And it looks like he's going to be ruled out if he hasn't already for Sunday's game in London next week. That means Carson Wentz is going to start his 3rd game in a row. I think this is hilarious, by the way. Not that he's hurt. I don't ever want anyone to be hurt. I think it's hilarious that they played in Dublin and then they were just forced to stay over there and then play in London. That's hilarious. They're just like, no, you're not coming back home. You're staying there. You're playing the London game. So the Vikings, rough stretch. And also it seemed like 90% of the fans in Dublin were Steelers fans, strangely enough.
Yeah.
Did it seem that way to you when you were watching it?
I wonder, were they technically the home team and maybe they told them, hey, if you're going to root for somebody, I don't know. Yeah, it did seem like far more Steelers fans in the crowd there.
Usually if there's a game, say like the Steelers and the Vikings are playing in Brazil or something, that's when you see a lot of Cowboys
I was
jerseys,
gonna say Chiefs,
right, or
Mahomes.
the Chiefs. You'll see like the occasional like Phillip Rivers Chargers jersey or something like that. Right.
Just a complete toss
But
up
these
there,
guys
yeah.
all had Steelers gear on.
Yeah, it was Dublin. Dublin was rocking too. That'd
I
be a fun
like
place
Dublin
to go
as
to a
a
game.
game
That
site.
that'd be a blast. I really like that move for sure.
Bucket
Moving
list.
to the running backs, and just like a general note on running backs too. A lot of injuries, but a lot of potential flex plays. Like again, we're talking about Kendrick Bourne and those things. We're desperate, but if you can play flex, there's a good amount of running backs that are probably going to be viable this week. One of them being maybe Sean Tucker, still out there in 90% of leagues, but Bucky Irving is going to be most likely out. He was on crutches and a walking boot as of Wednesday, also not practicing on Thursday. Too bad to see. And he played after suffering the injury and scored a long touchdown. So I'm not overly concerned that this is going to linger multiple weeks, but at least this week it would seem that he's going to be out. So Sean Tucker, who had that crazy, I believe it was 28 fantasy points last year when Bucky Irving missed, or not, or I think Rashad White, somebody missed. It might have been Bucky. I can't remember. But I know Sean Tucker has played very well when given the opportunity. He always seems to flash. And I know Rashad White will be the first guy to plug in, sure. But I wouldn't be shocked at all if Sean Tucker ends up being actually more valuable. And he's out there, again, in 90% of leagues. If you're desperate for a flex plug-in or a running back too, check out Sean Tucker this week.
Before we talk about a couple guys that got put on the IR, let's talk about Chuba Hubbard. Talking about guys that have really exceeded what I ever thought they would do over the past 2 or 3 years. I mean, he was kind of a walk-in punchline for us. He's been a pretty good NFL running back. He didn't practice on Thursday. And, I mean, one of the reasons that this kind of stinks out loud is that, A, he might not play. We'll see. But it looks like more and more of a committee might be kind of oozing into place in Carolina. If you're a Chuba owner, are you, like, seriously concerned?
Yeah, I think you have to be. Like you said, Rico Dowdle been factoring in more and more each week. I believe it was right around a 55 and 45 snap share, 45%. And Dowdle out there in 20% of leagues as well, 19% rostered right now. So he's out there in 80 rather, is what I meant to say. He's very viable. So that's why we're going to go through these running back notes. Because, again, if you're desperate for a flex, again, I know receivers, if you need Bourne, you need Bourne. But if you can at least flex it, you got Dowdle, you have Sean Tucker. They can be very viable toss-outs here in a ton of leagues. So definitely check in on that. In Miami, a complete doormat defense too. So Rico Dowdle really could be pushing his way into top 15 running back status this week should he be ruled out in Chuba Hubbard. So definitely check your waiver wire, pick him up, and feel free to ask, hey, if Chuba Hubbard's ruled out, would you go Dowdle versus XYZ? We're happy to play the hypothetical game in those questions. You alluded to it, but 2 running backs on IR, the first being Braylon Allen. Not a ton of actionable takeaways. I don't think anybody's going to run out there to pick up Isaiah Davis and start him by any means, but it does make Breece Hall that much more viable. We've had Braylon Allen really siphoning a ton of that short yardage and especially the goal line work. And so the report was it's at least 4 weeks, but a lot. Schefter's saying it's likely to be far more than that. Rich Cimini from ESPN saying it's too early to say if it's season ending, but it seems to me that everyone's anticipating this MCL injury. Every report comes out, it sounds worse and worse. It seems like Braylon Allen's going to miss clearly minimum 4 weeks because of the IR, but it sounds like he's going to be out for even more extensive time. So Breece Hall to the moon in this report. And then I guess if he is going to be out that long, sure, Isaiah Davis does have a little bit of appeal as well.
Sure. We talked about Trey Benson also, the other guy that's going on IR. The waiver darling, I would say, a week ago?
Blow all the fab. I was on that train of I'll spend everything I can to try to get this guy.
You pick him up?
No, he was only available in one of my leagues, and I had already blown a bunch of my money on Johnston, so I didn't have the goods, thankfully, to get up to him. And thankfully, I still have $50 left in my fab because I did not get him.
Well, anyway, he's on the IR.
Yeah, glad you got him.
Right. And Michael Carter has come out and said he's going to be starting. So whether he's starting or not, he thinks he is.
Exactly. John Gannon, the coach, did say all 3 backs will be involved. If I had to pick one of them, I do prefer Amari DiMarcado. A lot of people asking, who do you prefer? Why? He is the clear receiving back. He caught a touchdown last week. He's always looked very solid with his touches too. He's capable of being that 3-down back. And so I'll just take the guy I know is going to be catching the rock. Granted, it's against the Titans. They're probably going to have a positive game script, and that is going to favor the guy that has the clear rushing workload, which Could be Carter, but they're saying Bam Knight again will be worked into the mix. I say avoid this one. I'd rather have, let's say, Sean Tucker in case Bucky Irving's out. I'd pick him over either of these Cardinals running backs. But if you're desperate, if somebody's going to probably be valuable. And if I gun to my head this week had to pick one, it'd probably be Carter for 1 week. But for the next 4 weeks, I do think Demarcus is going to end up proving to be the most dependable of these guys. And then ESPN Dan Granziano reporting Steelers are fine if this backfield's led by Warren when healthy and Kenneth Gainwell, who just had a nearly 40-point day in London. Kenneth Gainwell looking unbelievable. Because of the bye week, I've seen him out there in a ton of waivers. Definitely go scoop this guy up should he be out there. But I think the biggest takeaway here is that Caleb Johnson is a distant third, and deservedly so. He has not looked good at any facet of the game. Definitely cuttable at this point in redraft leagues. And if he's out there, Kenneth Gainwell, give him a good scoop as well.
I just think I love these lukewarm takes like that. Like, oh, the Steelers are fine if so-and-so is their running back. Let's jack it up a little bit. The Commanders are, quote, very happy with their running back committee. Not fine. They're thrilled with it, with their running back committee. But they do view Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, also known as Bill, as one of the most capable of the three to emerge as an all-around threat. First of all, like I'm surprised if they actually came out and said this, but I guess they did. I mean, you kind of taking a dump on the other two, but they're very happy with their committee, and it sounds like long-term they like Bill.
Exactly, and I think this report's on here mostly because it's a buy low opportunity, I think, on JCM. It might still take a few weeks. You still have to be patient. But if the Bill owner is getting a little antsy, all the talk is about how it's a three-headed nightmare. They all three played nearly equal snaps, 33% to all three guys. It is ugly. It's not what you want. But if they are going to be happy with JCM potentially emerging as the clear lead guy, he's PFF's highest graded running back in terms of like EPA per rush. He's at top 2 in terms of success rate. There's a lot of those underlying advanced metrics that say Bill is by far the best running back on this roster. And so as long as he keeps that up and as long as these reports keep emerging that the team will be happy with him as he gains more experience, down the stretch run, he could end up becoming that true league winner. And a guy that I do think makes a very viable stash in addition to that is Brashard Smith. He had 26% of the snaps last week, a season high there with 19 total. And on those 19 total snaps, he had 4 carries and 4 targets. So pretty highly used when out there. He looked very good as a pass catcher in particular, as a former wide receiver converted guy. He was my running back sleeper, rather, when we talked about dynasty drafts. Him and Bill Krosky-Merritt were the two guys I highlighted. And it seems like Brashard Smith, it's not like Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt are doing much to really bring any juice to this offense. Brashard Smith was the guy I said could be this next Jerick McKinnon in the offense, and it seems like they want to keep elevating the role. So I say get ahead of him. He's going to be playing on Monday Night Football, so if your league does allow that roster churn, maybe wait it out. Maybe put Jadon Blue on the roster, see if he actually is activated. And when he's not activated, you can cut Jadon Blue for Brashard Smith ahead of Monday Night Football. But I think he makes a really good stash if you have the bench space. A very exciting athlete, 4.3 speed, great pass catcher. Led the entire class in yards per route run and all that good stuff from the running back position. So really, really big fan of Brashard Smith, and I'm stashing him wherever I have bench space.
But it would not have been a fantasy fullback dive with the Wolf and the Truth with that one Jadon Blue sighting.
Had to quickly work him in somehow.
Let's talk wide receivers, and let's start with CeeDee Lamb. Was when you said there's another receiver hurt, was that who you were talking about?
That's who it was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I as soon as I saw it, I knew he slipped our minds, which is kind of an insult to him, because this guy was up in our top 3. Top 2, top 3 guys we were talking about at the beginning of the year, as far as being, after Jamar Chase, we were kind of like, yeah, maybe CeeDee's the next guy. High ankle sprain in week 3. Am I wrong? We had him that high, right?
I think I had him at 4th overall on my big board entering the season. And then after week 1, where he had, 14 targets or something insane like that, it was a no-brainer. And he probably will be inevitable once he comes back. But what I loved with him being out, George Pickens got to really be that true number 1. A lot of people questioning, is he just a number 2 that's explosive?
No.
He's great. 8 catches on 9, I think 15 targets. He had 8 catches, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's certainly got to be ranked as a top 12 to 15 wide receiver at minimum, facing a Jets team that's not very solid at all. I just love George Pickens. I've always said, I can't wait for this guy to get a true shot. If CeeDee Lamb goes down, I think he'll prove to be a true number one wide receiver. And he did exactly that last week against the Packers defense nonetheless either. So I'm really excited to see what Pickens can keep doing while Lamb is out.
All right, let's talk about Calvin Ridley, who did not practice on Wednesday, although I don't know why anyone would have noticed that. I believe he has, 140 yards on the year?
141 scoreless yards, 10 catches through 4 games. Puka Nacua, 4Xing everything this guy's done. And not that those were ever in a conversation of drafting near each other, but just pathetic what Calvin Ridley's done. He's being outplayed by a mile by Elic Ayo-Manor over there. And if he sits out Calvin Ridley, then Ayo-Manor, who's still out there in 70-ish% of leagues, he could be an absolute beast. And so I really like Elic Ayo-Manor. I got to get it right because I actually really like the kid.
I get it wrong all the time too.
Yeah, I think it's Ayo-Manor, but I am not positive on that. I do know he hung 9 catches, 3 touchdowns, and 170 yards on Travis Hunter when they played against each other in college. So I absolutely love the kid. I think he's a baller. And this is just more reason to get out on Calvin Ridley. People have asked me, can I drop him? And I say yes.
You can drop him. And not to make the joke that I'm sure all of social media is making, but clearly Calvin Ridley was hammering the under on receptions and touchdowns and everything else before the season.
Titans losses, Titans win, yes. clearly doing so. Indeed. Jeremy Fowler from ESPN reporting the Eagles don't plan to trade A.J. Brown this year, but we'll entertain it in the offseason. So just a little nugget in dynasty leagues. I'd honestly love to see him get moved because how can you rely on this guy? In fantasy, he's that awful case of so talented that you can't ever bench him, but 3 out of 4 times he's going to probably flop for you the way. This offense is even more run heavy, even less creative than they were last year. And so, it's really, really tough. He had that tweet, if you're unappreciated, just quietly move on or something like that. I forget what the exact words were, but it seems really ugly there. And I wish he was being a bit more of a diva and demanding the rock. I don't know if that's enough of a squeak to get the grease this week, but very concerned about A.J. Brown. I'd love as a Pats fan to see him come over here and just kill it with Drake May.
Hey, all these guys, you got your CeeDee Lambs, your Tyreek Hills, your Malik Neighbors, but there's a bunch of people that drafted A.J. Brown super high too, and they're probably not much happier. I suppose he could get traded and land somewhere great and come right back, but man, he's been a super, super disappointment as well.
Huge bust, absolutely.
Terry McLaurin could need another week or two to heal from his quad injury. If that's the case, who's going to end up coming up and getting some of that volume?
Debo. I think Debo's the number one with or without Terry.
Sure.
At this point.
I agree. I'm saying, is there a deeper cut?
Maybe Jalen Lane once you got Jaden Daniels back. Certainly if Mariota's playing, you can't really trust him to sustain any mouths beyond Debo. But once he's back, Lane's made a ton of plays in the special teams game. He was one of the training camp highlights as well. So Jalen Lane is a really deep cut. Is a guy you could potentially stash if this Terry thing lingers. And there was rumblings he might need surgery. So deep leagues, look at Jalen Lane potentially. Jeremy Fowler. So just a couple other deep cuts here. Cooper Kupp is entrenched right now as the wide receiver too, but Torrey Horton's giving him something to think about. Let's give him something to talk about. that song. Torrey Horton, we're talking about him now. So apparently he's been very impressive. I really do like Horton. 6 catches, 10 targets, 74 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Had a special team 95-yard punt return, flashing a ton of juice. They were calling him mini Jerry Rice in camp, and I really like what I'm seeing. So a deep league stash with him and Isaiah Bond as well, a guy that the Browns are reportedly really excited about. I believe he had 58 yards. Yeah, he did last week. 6 targets, and he had 27 routes, three receptions on those 6 targets, and 58 yards. A real good speedster. One of the fastest players in the draft. He fell out of the draft because there was some concerns about off-field character issues. And looks like, though, he's kind of wiped those out and looking solid and potentially has a nice bond right now with Dylan Gabriel. So, again, I'd rather play Kendrick Bourne this week if we're that deep in the weeds or the gutter or waking up and not knowing where we are and trying to figure out our location. If you're that deep, I probably would go Kendrick Bourne over Bond, but he's in that conversation for you desperate players.
All right, that's fair. Are we going to hit tight ends?
Yeah, we only have 2 of them.
All right, let's hit tight ends, and we'll start with Darren Waller, who I saw some people spending some real free agent money on Darren Waller. I don't know. The guy has burned me too many times. You remember that week one when he got targeted a million times a couple of years ago? And we were just like, Darren Waller, here we go.
Yeah, with the Giants, was he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He got targeted like 17 times or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says there's going to be a jump, and that's in quotes, in his snap count in week 5 against the Panthers. Does that do anything for you?
I mean, he only had 16 snaps, but he had 2 touchdowns on him. Now you lose Tyreek Hill. I think Darren Waller is viable. He's my tight end 13 for the week on +3 ECR on him, and you might need him in case you lose someone like Jauan Johnson, who still hasn't practiced yet this week, and Taysom Hill is coming off the physically unable to perform list.
Right.
So it might be time to get rid of Jauan Johnson and move on to a guy like Darren Waller. Those were the only 2 tight end notes we had, but let us know if you have a Waller question. Even flex viable if you spent all that fab to get him, because Jalen Waddle, sure, will be that number 1 wide receiver. I think he'll be all right in that role. But Waller, they're going to need a number 2, and it might be Malik Washington, my guy that I'm relying on. It could be Darren Waller as well.
Can I ask you a question? This is not
Absolutely.
tight end related, but since you brought up Tyreek Hill being out, I've seen the reports says Tyreek will play in 2026. I saw the video. I watched it one time. That's all I'm planning on watching it. You think that guy's coming back? I mean,
no, it was horrible. It was so gruesome.
It was terrible, man. Like his leg was bent the other direction.
It might be the worst injury I've actually ever watched happen live, and just you see, like you said, it was going the opposite way. Awful, disgusting. I don't see any world where he's ready for the start of 2026.
You remember when Gordon Hayward got hurt in the first game for the Celtics?
I was going to say that ankle was pretty bad, but
I mean, it was similar, except this was his whole leg.
Yeah, like it completely flopping and flailing the opposite direction. Just horrible, horrible stuff. I don't.
And that guy's whole thing is just blinding speed. You can't come back 100% from that, can you?
I don't think so. I mean, I'd be impressed, honestly, if he even comes back.
I feel the same way, and I hate saying that, even though we've trashed the guy for being a dirtbag plenty of times. Like, wow, what a horrific injury.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Well, Wolpec, 1,000 of you here at the 41-minute mark. You love to see it. We're going to keep going for another hour and a half or so here to answer all the questions. We'll go as long as we have questions. So fill up that mailbag. You'll love to see, though, 1,000 live viewers with us here. And if you enjoy what you're hearing, please do consider that thumbs up button, the likes, the shares, the retweets, the hearts, all that good stuff. Truly does help us continue to grow. My rankings are live and updated at rotostreetjournal.com as well, plus other tons of content. CJ ripped a bunch of these streamers that we're talking about, Malik Washington, Michael Carter, a bunch of those names. He ripped a nice sleeper piece. So if you're looking in the weeds, go check that out. Tons of other good buy low, sell high. So much good stuff at rotostreetjournal.com beyond just the rankings. So go check out the site. We greatly appreciate your support and you being here. Let's dive into the questions.
I'll just put it out there before when my kid calls me to pick her up from a track practice, I might have to go, but that shouldn't happen for a while.
Perfect.
All right, here we go. Bulldog, let's go. Thumbs up. Bulldog, we love you. That, by the way, came in at 10:55 a.m. So that's what I'm talking about.
Wasted no time.
Bulldog follows up with Danny Dimes against Vegas, or stick with Jalen Daniels. I think he probably meant Jaden Daniels this week.
I'm sure he did, and I go with Daniels. You got to, anytime Daniels is out there, he'll be my number 2 quarterback for the week when all is said and done. And I like Danny Dimes. Great
Dimes, come on, don't sleep on him.
I know, Danny, and I'm glad he called him Danny Dimes and not Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, get the fuck out of here.
Your least favorite nickname. But yeah, I'm going Jaden Daniels no matter what. You see the good with Danny Dimes, and I think against Vegas, you'll get plenty of that good. But 10 points last week as well, kind of a reminder that it will be an up or down roller coaster with him. That was also in a tough matchup. I get it. And the Raiders are not a tough matchup. So I do like Daniel Jones, but he's my quarterback 9, whereas Daniels will be top 3 no matter what for me.
All right, let's hear what Droid has to say. Suffered my first defeat by half a point. Just before I get into this, how would you rather lose in fantasy by 20 or by half a point?
20. Oh, yeah. Just let me be done.
Right. Yeah. Me too. So I'm sorry to hear that, bud. That sucks.
Yeah.
Injury bug got me. Join the club. So I need some help. Start 1 wide receiver, 2 flex. JK, Woody, Malik Washington. We've already talked about him a bit. Turpin, Shaheed. Full PPR, half point for punt and kick returns. Wow.
Oh, man. I'll admit I do not know a ton about the kick return game.
Neither.
So I have to – I can't really factor that part of my analysis in here, but I will say for the 2 flexes, it's clearly JK and Woody, both top 22 running backs for me this week. I love both those guys. they're head and shoulders above anyone else you're asking about. And then we come down to the wide receivers, and I know it might seem just insane to say play Malik Washington over T. Higgins, but I don't know. I know the Bengals will be you wouldn't do it. I think I'd go.
No. You said I know it sounds crazy, and I said, does it though? I mean, like, does it sound crazy? Because I'm not sure it does.
I know. I ultimately probably go T. Higgins just because him and Browning had a couple nice connections, and I know Browning looks god awful, but he has had the second least points allowed and the least most points allowed, 2 quarterbacks and wide receivers in back-to-back weeks. Like, you couldn't have asked for a harder schedule for Browning to start off. And maybe he just does suck, but 2 years ago he averaged 270 yards passing. He was viable. Jake Browning was the number 8 quarterback in fantasy as a starter 2 seasons ago. So if they're ever going to get it going, you got to think this is the perfect script where you're facing Detroit. They're going to absolutely bury them, but they're going to be chasing points. It's not a great Detroit secondary. He'll be under pressure, no doubt about it, Browning. He'll get sacked a ton, but I do think they're going to be chucking and have a little bit more success. So I go T. And granted, like I say, T's my wide receiver 34 and Malik Washington's my 40. So it is very close. I'm not, and maybe this is where the punt and kick return comes in, because I know Turpin does return kicks. I know Shaheed is sometimes involved there, but give me T. Higgins and just hope this guy connects in a long bomb.
I also make no claims on being an expert on this punt kick return stuff. I have no idea how that works. So I'm ignoring that part of it, and maybe that changes things. But let me drop a little bit of knowledge on you that's going to make you feel a little better about what you're saying.
Okay.
Calvin Ridley has the same number of receptions and 4 more yards on the year than T. Higgins.
Oh, God.
Now, Higgins did score 1 touchdown, but Higgins' stats on the year are 10 catches, 136, 1 touchdown. I mean, that's garbage.
Absolute garbage. Yeah,
you can't be like, I don't know, Malik Washington. It's like, yeah, I'm listening. I hear you.
Yeah. I would go, I'm starting Malik Washington at wide receiver 3, and I'll tell you, if I had T. Higgins, I'd put him in my lineup. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm going to go with T. Higgins here. And just
on
hope
pedigree,
that the game script is right. Yeah, it's scary. It's absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, T. Higgins is averaging 2.5 catches a game and like 35 yards. So
not great. Not what you want from your third rounder.
No. All right. Krana. Good to hear from you, Krana.
Krana did send a super chat. I'm just seeing this. So let me see this. Oh, God.
Let's talk about everyone's favorite Andrews. Unfortunately, although it lay on my kitchen table for almost a week, my fat and useless check got thrown away. Otherwise, I would immediately pick it up. But you know how I feel about it.
I just imagine like Anna like walking down and picking that up and being happened. Like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, Nat, do you have something you need to tell me?
every member of the family at some point over the course of the next 24 hours, like picked it up and asked for an explanation, because it's just this piece of white paper with 2 boxes on it that say fat and useless, and they're both checked, and there's nothing else. There's no other context or anything on it. And they're just like, what is this, man? So I had to explain it individually to each member of my family.
I could see that getting you in some deep dirt with no context.
I mean, I had to explain. I had to explain, definitely.
Yeah. It's Mark Andrews, honey. I swear.
No, I was talking. No. This isn't about any of you. It's about Baltimore Ravens veteran tight end Mark Andrews.
Of course. Oh,
and they were just like, okay.
Of course. The fat and useless guy. Yes.
Yeah, he's fat and he's useless.
I know. Right back to fat and useless last week. Goes for 27 points, and then like 2 the next week. 2. Although no, he had like 5 catches. It was for like 30 yards on 8 targets.
Let's not
very inefficient, but. Yeah, certainly fat is mildly useful. It would be the best you could give Mark Andrews these days. Thank you, Krana. I'm going to pull up his next one. I'm just going to grab my water. It's right next over here.
So Krana also had some actual questions. We appreciate the super chat, and I love that you remember the fat, useless comment. Now, just to be clear, I stole that from the Wolf. I just really liked it, and I ran with it. Krana, every now and then the Wolf says something, and I'm like, I'm gonna beat that into the ground. Krana says Mahomes or Fields, 6-point passing. Also Daniels, Murray, or Jones, 6-yard passing or 6-point passing. Sorry.
It pains me to say it, but you got to go Mahomes. He's been on a different level. But Fields has Dallas this week, so I was like, I thought this was going to be a no-brainer.
So bad. Their defense is just awful.
It is so bad. I mean, I might have to take that one back because Mahomes is quarterback 3 on the year. I'll admit it, I was lower on the guy at his cost. And he's definitely proved me wrong in that sense.
Can we just remind everybody?
Sorry, what's that?
Can we just remind everyone Russell Wilson dropped like 45 fantasy points on the Cowboys?
Yeah, that's true. And that's why this is a really close one. But you look at Mahomes' game logs, 26, 23, 13, and then 27 points.
That's pretty good.
Pretty solid there. The Jags defense is no joke, though. They're leading the NFL in interceptions right now. They're top 5 in sacks. It's been a shockingly good defense this year. And I'm not saying I'm worried I'd be benching Mahomes. But then you get the Cowboys on the other side. Like you mentioned, 45 points to Russell Wilson. I don't think a quarterback's gone below 23 points against the Cowboys all year. And that's when you get Justin Fields, 29 and 27 points, 4 points. So the floor is horrible with Fields. But when you got the Cowboys on the other side, I'm going to go with the 29 and 27 point ceiling of Justin Fields, top 4 quarterback in 2 of his 3 weeks, and now gets the best possible matchup he can ask for.
Wow.
I'm going Fields. What do you think?
So, I mean, this is one of these where oftentimes I come in with my own opinions and sometimes you convince me. And I came into this definitely thinking Mahomes, and the more you talked about it and the more I like kind of thought about the Cowboys, I was just like, why? Like the Cowboys, if we're talking a real football sense, not even fantasy, the Cowboys should be 0-4. Let's make no mistake about that. Like They should not have won any games. It's crazy that they beat the Giants in that shootout. They shouldn't have. They should have lost the Packers, although they did give up 40 and salvaged a tie. Yeah, I mean, what do you think? They're going to probably give up 35 points, right?
100%, yeah. I pulled it up because I wanted to see. I said nobody scored fewer than 23 points against him as a quarterback. It's actually even better. So Jalen Hurts, 24, Russell Wilson, 31, Caleb Williams, 29, and Jordan Love, 26. You're going to get 25-plus points from Justin Fields here. So I'm rolling with that one. Absolutely.
Okay. I'm convinced.
Convinced. Okay. And then Daniels over Murray and Jones. Top 3 quarterback. Anytime he's out there, you're playing Jane Daniels.
Okay. Cron also says pick 2 PPR, Mason, Marks, White, Dowdle, if no Chuba. And I do think there's going to be no Chuba, but let's assume there's no Chuba. Mason, Marks, White, Dowdle. Pick 2 of them.
I would probably be going because Mason gets Cleveland's run D, and we just saw when they get game flowed out, Mason's a real liability. I want to say Marks and Dowdle if there's no Chuba. If Chuba is in, I think you go Marks and Mason. But I'm that high on Woody Marks, and I don't think my rankings are going to reflect that right now. But I just love what this kid did. The 25-point performance, 2 touchdowns, very involved as a pass catcher. Yeah, I need him higher in my rankings right now.
I would go Woody, definitely number 1. I'm not sure who I would take after him. I'm so mad. I picked Woody up on waivers after week 1, and then I got skittish and I dropped him like week 3. I'm an idiot.
Painful. And even worse than that, Truth, I tweeted out like 2 weeks ago, great day to pick up Woody Marks. Guess who didn't follow his own advice? Like I didn't pick him up in any leagues despite tweeting it because I'm starting to get really good vibes on the guy. A lot of people tweeted at me and say, hey, this led me to pick up Woody Marks. Thank you. I beat the rush. I didn't do it myself, but I'm happy any of you did. If you saw that tweet and it made you pick up Woody Marks, I just wish I followed my own advice sometimes. But good
do
advice.
As I say, and there's plenty of times you probably wish you hadn't followed your own advice.
I was going to say, I'm very good at following my worst takes. I'm not very good at following the good ones.
Right. No, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Chrono's got a couple more. Drop Andrews. Yeah, probably. For Mason Taylor's, Monty or Chase Brown, Sutton or Garrett Wilson. Other wide receiver I'm starting is Puka. Good for you.
I keep going in and out. I heard everything there, but for some reason my Wi-Fi keeps going like a little bit shaky. So apologize if it freezes up on you guys. I as much as I liked the hate cut of Andrews, I'll say this: I'm already regretting hate cutting him. The week I cut him, he got 27 points. Jauan Johnson's now banged up. And I don't think Mason Taylor, I know he just had, 7 targets, 5 catches, solid outing. I don't think that's enough. Maybe this week if you just needed 1 week. But even then, it's just, I don't know. I don't think Mason Taylor's. Yes, I'm okay with cutting Andrews, not for Mason Taylor. I don't think that's enough. I'm going to go Monty.
I know this isn't a hot take, but when you cut someone, when you hate cut someone and then they drop 27, that seems very personal, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. He did it. He did it for me. He wanted to send a message to me. Fat useless? Okay.
Useless? Right. Bend
Imagine
over.
he just has that like on his locker. You know, they talk about bulletin board material. He just has like a
With our pictures next to it.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love that, by the way.
You're welcome, Andrews owners, for the extra motivation we added to his
bulletin
plate.
board material.
Yeah, we really helped him out there for sure. And then in terms of Monty or Chase Brown, I'm definitely going Monty. Those two teams facing each other, you can't get better than facing the Bengals run defense. The most points allowed to running backs. I had J.K. Dobbins on my team, and unfortunately, I needed 16 points, and I thought I was going to get it because every time he got the ball, it was 9 yards a pop. They unfortunately gave the touchdown to Harvey. Otherwise, I would have been clear. I lost by 2, sadly. But Monty should just get plenty of burn here, right back into that high touchdown mark. So yeah, I love David Montgomery this week. I think he get at least 1 touchdown. It might be one of those vintage like 3 touchdown days for David Montgomery.
Easy pick over Chase Brown in my opinion.
And I go, as much as I love Sutton, I've always been a huge Sutton guy. How do you not go Garrett Wilson? Facing the Cowboys, the worst secondary in the league, absolutely cooking right now, second in the NFL in receptions, tied with St. Brown there. A good 20 behind Puka Nacua somehow as number 2. But still, Garrett Wilson's been killing it. He's my number 4 wide receiver of the week. I like Sutton. He's my number 13 wide receiver. Tougher matchup against Philly. More targets, more production right now from Garrett Wilson. I'm going there. Yeah, Garrett Wilson and Puka. You're not in bad shape.
I agree with all those takes. And with that said, Sutton's looked good this year too.
He's been phenomenal. You wish you could get him in a flex or something, but
if you can't find a spot for Sutton, you're doing really well.
I mean, yeah, here we are saying, like, do we start Kendrick Bourne or Malik Washington? Krana, I don't think I have room for Cortland Sutton. Yeah, because well done, Krana. Jeez. Rub it in our face a little harder.
His last question, McConkey or Olave? Gosh, McConkey, third best receiver on his team. McConkey or Olave, PPR. Finally, Kyron tonight or Scatterbo. Thanks, Wolf.
I got to go with Chris Olave. Facing the Giants, a pathetic defense right there. And like you said, Ladd might be the third wide receiver. He doesn't look good. The advanced metrics haven't been kind to him either in terms of like separation and yards per out run and all that stuff. He's taken a really dramatic drop off. Now, I'm not going to quit on the guy and certainly not in Dynasty, but as long as Keenan Allen's there, he seems like the clear-cut, like middle of the field chain mover. Him and Herbert have not lost any of that rapport. And then, of course, Quentin Johnson, the true number 1 wide receiver there at this point, 13 targets last week. There's just nothing there for Ladd, and Washington's a good matchup. I don't mind it, but he's the distant third at this point. If you're talking biggest bust of the year, it's him, AJ Brown, Brian Thomas. Like, I don't know which one.
Are you talking about minus injuries?
Yeah, minus injuries, of course. Yes.
So who'd you say? You said him. You said
him, AJ Brown, and Brian Thomas has to be in that conversation too.
Do we include BTJ is definitely in that conversation? Do you include Chase Brown in there, or do you think that's just due to injuries, even though he's not the guy that got injured? And Jamar Chase, like
it was a risk factor. I mean, Chase, you got to put Chase in that conversation as much as it's out of their control.
T. Higgins.
If you lose Joe Burrow, those guys clearly become you. How fun would it be if Jameis Winston just could go there, by the way? Like, all those guys would just go instantly right back up. Please.
I would love that. I think they should bring Randall Cunningham back.
Yeah, anybody. Seriously. Like, anybody. For sure. But I think Jameis would just be the absolute man there. If we could get him in.
Anytime a team has just an absolutely shitty quarterback situation, how many years do you think we're going to have to go before we start being like, I wouldn't mind seeing Jameis there?
It'll be another 15 years before I'm not saying that. Like, I'm all about it for sure. In terms of that last question too, I think I do go Kyron over Scatterbo. I don't know though. I gotta look. I have Scatterbo 12 and Kyron 13. So
I do really like Scatterbo, but I would have a hard time not starting Kyron tonight.
Yeah, but you think about it. Okay, you're facing New Orleans.
I'm thinking.
If there's any the good thing about Skyy is he is game flow he's not even he's game flow proof rather. Great pass catcher, end zone involvement, and now he's getting every carry because Tyrone Tracy's out. You're facing the Saints. There's plenty of touchdown. That could be a 2 touchdown day for Scatterbo. Whereas I'm thinking about this doormat San Fran team. If they get blown out the way we're talking, like this might be more of a let's get Blake Corum some run. Let's kind of get our rookie Jarquez Hunter involved. Kyron will probably score a touchdown. But to me, I think the ceiling is significantly higher with Scatterbo. I'm going to go Scatterbo. It seems like
Scatterbo, in that game that Malik Neighbors got hurt in, there was a real kind of like Darren Sproles, Theo Reddick kind of vibe to him. just like everything out of the backfield, just catching. And I was like, wow, this guy is just piling up fantasy points. So I get it.
I think you might be the only person to compare a 240-pound Cam Scatterbo that looks like Mike Alstott to Darren Sproles.
I'm telling you, but they were getting stuff the same way. These were like, I'm not saying I'd confuse them for each other in a lineup. I'm saying like, he's throwing these little like 3-yard passes out, and the guy's just like, oh, like there's 2 fantasy points. There's 3 more fantasy points, and that's just how it seemed to me.
The usage was you're absolutely right. The usage was very, very similar. There's no doubt about it. And that's what makes it that much scarier when you're talking about a 240-pound truck getting that type of usage.
He is a truck, man. He's like Mike Allstott.
He is so fun to watch. No, I'm going to go Scatterbo, and I'll say this too. I'm facing Scatterbo in my main league this week, and it's just I know he's going to put up 20-something against me. And so, yeah, I go Scatterbo. Great match against the Saints. Looks phenomenal. Ride the rookie. Yeah, let's go.
All right. Krana then also says, what a crazy win by the Bears.
Yeah, your Bears, they pulled that one out. They wanted to do everything they could to give it away, but good win by them.
Caleb Williams, the QB4, I think, in fantasy right now.
Crazy.
Some crazy shit like that.
Oh,
Salvatore, tempted to start Blake Corum tonight. Okay. I need a flex. RJ Harvey. I'm starting JK. Io Mayor, Rashad Smith. Should I go with Blake? It's not exactly a murderer's row there.
No, it's not. I think I'm going to go with RJ Harvey. I mean, Philly's a tough matchup, and a lot of his production did come in garbage time against the garbage Bengals. So I understand the risk. And you already do have JK in there, so now it becomes even riskier. I think the thing here is that I don't want to go with Blake Corum because, one, he might not see the field. Yeah, if they're blowing him out, then you get a little bit of garbage time. Maybe he falls in the end zone. Okay, well done. Good play. But there's very real, 2.2, and then you have to stare at that all week. Like, any one of these guys could get just 2. Most of them probably will get 2.2, but you don't have to sit there and dwell on it all week and just wait for Sunday and feeling horrible about your chances. Your projections go down, and you got the upside with Io Manor, potentially no Calvin Ridley, the number 1 receiver probably already, and then you remove Calvin Ridley. There's upside there. RJ Harvey looks awesome. I know it was against the Bengals, and everyone looks awesome, but he looked very, very good this last week. And then Rashard Smith might get that role elevated, as we talked about too. So to me, Corum's probably the 4th of those options to me, if nothing else, because you don't have to stare at a horrible one. Yeah, if you play him, Sal, and he ends up, going off tonight and having a touchdown in 70 yards, then you feel awesome and you can rub it on your opponent all week. I think the odds of that happening are 3%, whereas I think it's a 75% chance he scores less than 4 points, and you're just like, oh, why did I do that?
I agree. I think the odds are extremely good that he's going to be really disappointing. Also, I'm not even sure how much Calvin Ridley's absence is going to matter.
No.
As far as that goes. It's not like he was sucking in a bunch of targets. This is not Calvin Ridley 4 years ago on the Falcons pre-gambling.
Exactly.
Right. Ryan Greenman, need a wide receiver, Bourne, Robinson, Pierce, Tolbert.
Yeah, this is where you start to consider. I'm glad we talked about it.
Right. This is the gutter, folks.
Ryan Greenman's in the trenches. The corpses around him. The dazed wake up, wondering what city he's in.
Right.
This is where you go, Kendrick Bourne. I don't hate Alec Pierce in these type of situations too, because he is the type of guy you might get 0, but you might get 25. And so when you're this deep in the weeds. Yeah, Alec Pierce does intrigue me, and the Raiders give up more big plays than anyone. I do think I end up going Alec Pierce on this one.
Me too.
But man, I'd be tempted to get Bourne in there because I think he's the safest ball. You're probably going to get 7 out of Bourne tonight. I think you're going to get 7, and if he scores, you get 13. Then nice, you had a really good day. So I think the floor is safest here with Bourne. But in most cases, I'd probably go after Alec Pierce. The big plays this defense gives up. And we just know he has 20 plus burgers in his realm of possibilities. So I'm going to bump up Alec Pierce in my rankings, and that's who I'm going to roll with.
It would be hard for me not to start Pierce there. I got to say, too much big play potential. Toon says, bringing this back from 3 years ago, Puka. Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Toons was as high as anybody I've ever seen on Puka. So I'll give it to you, Toons. You nailed it. I know you have him in our Dynasty League, and he's got to be a top 2 Dynasty player right there.
Patty Mateo, what's up, man? Full PPR, need 1 wide receiver, 2 flexes. Kamara, Brees, Mason, Waddle, Keenan, Ladd. Not Ladd.
Yeah, right? I
not
think
Waddle.
You're definitely going Brees here. No Braylon Allen. Good matchup against the Cowboys. That's the no-brainer for me. I think you're going Waddle for the wide receivers with
Yeah,
no Tyreek.
I
Would
don't
you go
know,
Waddle
man.
or Keenan? I mean, that's tough.
I'd play Keenan. I really would.
Even with Tyreek out, though, you don't think
Yeah.
there's any room for Waddle to kind
I
of
think
run
there's
here?
definitely room. I have to see it. I don't know. I've seen Keenan have some really good games this year. I feel like it's been like 3 years since I've seen Waddle do anything worthwhile. So, yeah, I get it. If I had Waddle right now on my team, I would be like optimistic. I'd be like, oh, look, this could turn into something. But I'm not sure. I don't think I'd roll him out over Keenan.
Fair enough. Although I think all that debate's for moot because I don't know. Do you just go Waddle, Keenan, and Brees and just play both these guys in full PPR? Maybe.
How much more do you like? I see the name Kamara and I'm always tempted. I don't know.
Yeah, because full PPR we're talking too, and that's where
he's a pass catcher.
He's certainly a pass catcher, but he's just been very inefficient. He does get the Giants though.
He has
this week. Yeah,
if it were me, I would probably say Brees, Kamara, and Keenan.
I'm gonna pull up. I just want to pull up Kamara's game logs because I don't.
Yeah,
really
you're gonna make me look bad by doing that. But go ahead.
Even in full PPR though, Kamara this year 13, 16, 6, and 11. Just like
points you talking like fantasy?
Yeah, in full PPR, those are the points that he's put up.
I'd still put him out there. I honestly, I don't. I mean, what's that an average of? Like 12 a game, something like that, 11 a game?
Yeah, like right around 11.
I don't think you can bank on Waddle doing better than that.
I think Waddle steps up. I would probably go Waddle, Keenan, and Brees myself.
Okay, and I would probably just out of spite say Kamara over Waddle.
Okay, fair enough. It's fine. Neither is considering Lad, which is wild. Like the beginning of the year, it'd be, why are you even asking about Lad? Now it's like, wow, like why are you asking about Lad? Why should you even be considering him at this point?
He's my sixth choice on this list.
Yeah. Mason going against the Cleveland run D that only Jahmyr Gibbs has put up decent points against them, and he's going to do that against everybody. So I don't like Mason this week. I bumped him down in the rankings just thinking about him. I just don't really like the matchup at all.
I don't like him either, but I think I like
Waddle.
him.
Sounds like the truth is going to go Kamara over Waddle there.
I am.
Good question, Fatty.
Yeah, Kristen Mann says 4-0. Let's go. Good job, Kristen.
Let's go. And Kristen was a guide purchaser, and it sounds like you decided to follow the good advice in the guide and not the bad takes like I do myself.
Look, in any guide that the Wolf has put out, like even times he's bombed things, that's my daughter calling right now. Hang on just a second.
Fair enough. I'll remove you for now, Truth, and I'll keep ripping this for sure. Full PPR, Henry, Strange, Ertz, or Jauan Johnson for Tunes. You got to go the number one tight end in fantasy, which I know is crazy, but Hunter Henry is the number one tight end. You got to run for
I'm out, Wolf. It's been fun, guys. Thanks for the 1,200 of you that showed up for this weird time slot. We'll see you next week, definitely.
Thank you so much, Truth, for being flexible, too. I appreciate it. We'll see what time we do next week, too. I know the Sox kind of made us move it today, and we didn't even have to move it if we didn't want to, but we'll see how the rest of it goes, and we'll chat in the future. But, yeah, cheers.
All right, man.
Thank you so much for being flexible and starting early.
Yeah, it was fun. See you guys later.
Absolutely. And Tunes, like I was saying, Hunter Henry, the number one tight end in fantasy football this year. So I'm going to keep rolling that, especially over these other options, but there's no way I'm benching him at this point. The Smitty, start one. Mac Jones, Rattler, or Gabriel? Oh, boy. This must be like a super flex or 2 QB league. I guess I go Mac Jones just because he's been very solid as a starter. Gabriel does have a little bit of leg point upside. Rattler gets the Giants, too. So all these guys are like god awful, and they're like, but you can string the case for them. I don't know. I guess I'm going Mac Jones. Give yourself a little fun tonight. But he's also playing hurt too, so I'm going to bump him down just because there is risk of re-injury. I'll go with Dylan Gabriel. It's a good Vikings defense. But now I'm like, okay, I'm just going to pull up Rattler's game log because I know he sucks. But how bad's he been for fantasy? 11, 21, 12, 13. Yeah, he's been pretty bad. The Giants defense should destroy that offensive line too. So I guess I'll just go for the rushing upside and hope that Dylan Gabriel like balls out. Don't love any of those options of the Smitty though. Tough situation. Full PPR, different league for Tunes. Ertz, Strange, or Taylor. I'm going to go with Ertz, and you hope Jay Daniels is back and they keep killing it because he had over 15 points in both games with Daniels so far this year, Tunes. The Smitty start 2. Monty, Henderson, Marks, or White. I'm going to go with Monty and Marks on this one. Love the matchup against Cincy for Monty. Think he's got 3 touchdown upside this week. And then Henderson, as much as I hope it's him by the end of the year, you're still getting 9 carries for Ramondre, 8 for Antonio Gibson. If this is a 3-headed nightmare, how can you trust the guy week to week? I can't go Henderson there. Love what we're seeing from Marks in that backfield takeover in Houston. You know, if someone's going to be this year's Bucky Irving, it seems like Woody Marks is the case there. And I do like White as a starter potentially this week, but I still would take Marks even if White's starting. So give me Marks, give me Monty. And that one, the Smitty and the Smitty. Rams never blow out. So, yeah, I mean, maybe you're right. I just think they bury him for sure. Fields over Max Jones. Yeah, I mean, come on. Come on, Tunes. Don't even ask that question. I should put you in timeout for even asking. Seth Rogen. Again, I always say this when this happens. You're not the first person to call this out, Maddie Randoms. This is like the 3rd time this year it's happened, so maybe I'm getting even more Rogan-y as my age comes on. And every time somebody says it, I take a screenshot and I send it up to my brothers because they've always called me Seth Rogen for years. And, hey, I mean, the guy just won 1 million Emmys. Maybe I'm the next Seth Rogen here. I'll take it. Blow out the 49ers. Yeah, I hear you. Shanahan made a deal with the devil to keep McCaffrey healthy. He sure must have, Tunes, and it must have been that everybody else on your team is going to get hurt, but at least that CMC stays healthy, so it seems. We got Kristen Mann trying to figure out why I'm freaking out since I lost Tyreek, or you're not freaking out. You have Rashee Rice. So I think that's what it is you have an even better option coming back in just 2 more weeks. You got to gut out week 5, week 6, and then you got a true top 5 wide receiver coming into your lineup. You just got to figure it out, scratch and claw. That's what I'm doing right now with, Malik Washington in the lineup. And you just find those gutter players that end up scoring you a touchdown, and you claw your way there. But yes, that's probably why you're not freaking out, is Tyreek wasn't doing that good. The irony is that the week against the Jets, he was looking like he was on pace for back to target hog Tyreek status, and then he gets hurt, of course. But yeah, you got that nice cushion with Rashee Rice. You got to be feeling good, Kristen. Should I be dropping for Eric Buckman? Drop Loop and pick up Cardi? Yeah, I'd probably go Cardi, but sorry, I hit the oh man, I hit the back button by accident and we just lost a bunch of people. I hope the Twitter sphere comes back up here on that one. Hopefully we didn't lose all your questions there as well over on X, but thank you again for those of you that are sticking this one out. I don't know what happened there. I think I by accident swiped my keyboard and it hit the back button. Thumbs up button for those of you that can help us get back out to more people would be greatly appreciated. Hopefully we can get back live. All right, there we are. We're back on Twitter with 1,200 of you back here. Thank you so much for your patience with that technical difficulty there. So Spencer Schrader, King Schrader is the guy I keep pumping up to everybody. Cardi, I would go with over them. Chase McLaughlin, I still like as well out there in some leagues too. Luke McCaffrey, Bond, Justice Hill, drop 1 for Stafford. Yeah, I guess I would drop McCaffrey. He's had a good rapport with Mariota, but as McLaurin gets healthy, as Daniels comes back, I think he's the one that drops off first. Eric Buckman, should I pick up Dowdle and play him over Henderson, Godwin, or JMO? I certainly would pick him up, and if Chuba's out, then yes, you're playing him over all 3 of those guys, no doubt about it. Charlie Preble made a big trade, sent Kyron, BTJ, and Charb for Hall, Etienne, and Addison. I think it's pretty even to me. I think Hall might end up actually being the best player of this deal with Braylon Allen now laid up for at least 7 or 8 weeks. Him and Kyron are comparable. So then is it Etienne versus BTJ? It's a matter of, did you buy high on Etienne, or maybe you bought low or you sold high on BTJ? And I do like Addison a lot. So I think you win this one, Charlie. I like it. Or Tonjes over Strange at tight end. I'd probably stick with Strange, Buckman, but it's not a bad question by any means. Apex traded for Bucky and Benson last week. Of course, they get hurt. Yeah, brutal. Please let me know, Apex, if you do any other trades so I can avoid any of those guys. That is brutal. I'm sorry to hear it, my man. Gerardo Silva, sorry. Should I trade Achane, Jauan, Jettis, Jordan Mason for Chase, Cook, and Laporta? No, I'm worried about Chase. I mean, the only way that gets saved is if Jameis or someone else like that ends up there. I don't think I like that trade for you. I'd rather have the Achane side of things there. Slayton or Bourne for Alex Smith. I'd go with Slayton this week for sure. Again, like we said, 1,200 of you. That thumbs up button would be so helpful. On Twitter is a ton of you. That heart button, the likes, the shares, the retweets, it all helps us grow. And just a reminder again, these rankings and all of our content is at rotostreetjournal.com. Would love you to check out the site. Tons of good stuff, all for free on the website. Tunes, Bourne, Charbonnet, or Franklin in my flex spot. I'd probably go Franklin on this one. BTJ or Bourne. Come on, Kate. I don't know if you're trolling. And honestly, you might actually have a valid question here, but I've got to go BTJ on that one, KJ. You got to hope this he shakes this and ends up playing out. I am very worried that Trevor Lawrence is just impossible and that he won't. But again, you're not benching BTJ for Bourne. Come on. What's going on, Dustin Wells? What's up, fellas? Pick 2 for flex. Pittman, Dobbins, Woody, Carter, and Demarcus. Pittman listed with a hamstring. It's mildly concerning if he's ruled out, but I imagine it's just something small, a little tinge. I got to go with Dobbins and Pittman, assuming Pittman's healthy. If Pittman's not, then Woody is a great pivot there. I'm not going to go one of the Cardinals this week. And then we got Tommy Taluga, the fullback, Nix or Stafford, and Ladd or Myers, PPR. I'm going to go with Nix on that one. I just don't think the game flow will require a ton out of Stafford, and so I'd rather play Nix this week. He really cooked it up last week on Monday Night Football against Philadelphia, where they're going to need him to keep throwing. I prefer him to Stafford. Ladd versus Myers. I'm going to go with Myers in this case. I know he had a down week last week. Still saw a healthy target share, and I just don't trust Ladd at all. He seems like truly the third wide receiver. One of these weeks he's going to break out, and you're going to have to deal with it being on your bench. I'm not putting him in until I see it for Ladd at this point, Taluga. Ross H. Prescott or Daniels? I'd be going Daniels 110% if I had the option. Top 3 quarterback anytime he's on the field. And Bills or Cardinals? Give me the Cardinals against the pathetic, hapless Tennessee Titans over there. That's a definite start for me, for sure. Kimberly Smith, Etienne, Marks, or DeMarcus. It definitely comes down to Etienne or Marks for me. And for me, I'm going to go Etienne. He's just running so hot. It's a tougher Chiefs run D. But that being said, I still go Etienne over Marks at this point, the clear featured back. I think Chubb's still a little bit too involved for me. Troop Poop, start Bourne, Turpin, or Travis Hunter. I think I go, you want to say Travis Hunter with the upside and then finally he'll break out. I don't know if I buy it. I might actually go with Kendrick Bourne. I still would ride out Travis Hunter. He's coming off his best, 3 catch, 41 yards. His best is a concern. He's still so damn talented, and I see him breaking out more than these guys. So I'm going to go with Travis Hunter there. Bourne over Robinson. For me, Sambo Slice, yes, I prefer Bourne. Second on the team and snaps, routes, targets for the past 2 weeks. He has that pre-established rapport with Mac Jones here. I lean into Bourne in that one. Lost Lamar. Who should I go with? Stroud, Young, T-Law, Wentz, Tua, and Darnold. Out of these options, it's ugly. I'd probably go with Stroud. He's playing better ball these last few weeks. And if I'm not mistaken, a pretty decent matchup for him against a Baltimore secondary that is just getting destroyed. A Baltimore defense that's just abysmal. So I go Stroud out of those options, Bulldog. Hurting at receiver, please pick one. Ayumanor, Bourne, Malik Wash, or Pierce. Bulldog, I am leaning into, I think, Ayumanor for this one. Certainly if we get Calvin Ridley ruled out. But even if not, I think he's the preferred option here. A proven touchdown scorer already at the NFL level. Already kind of the number 1 wide receiver there. I have him 8 spots ahead of Ridley already, and it could even get higher upside. So I'm going to go with Ayumanor there. Someone in my league dropped CD. Should I take Chun? Yeah. CeeDee Lamb, as soon as he's back, is right into the top 5 overall conversation. I would blow every waiver wire fab, top priority, whatever it is. Yes, you should 110%. Please pick him up. Tien Nguyen, Demarcus, Henderson, Slayton, half PPR, sit one. I think I'm sitting Slayton there. In the past without Neighbors, last year he had some big blow-up games, but I think the running backs, you can bank on 10-ish touches for both those guys, and both do decent work. If I had to sit one of the running backs, it'd be Demarcus, but I think I play both those guys over Slayton. Tough call, though, Tien. Slayton could erupt, so that's a very tough one. Washington or Keon Coleman, half PPR. I'd probably play Keon. It makes me nervous, but if I'm playing like a number 2-ish wide receiver in an offense, I'd rather it be the Bills offense myself. And then Demarcus or Harvey. I loved what I saw out of Harvey on Monday Night Football. Most of it did come in garbage time, though. So I think I'm going to lean with Demarcus. Harvey looked good, though. He turned the corner. He's involved as a pass catcher. I'll go with Harvey. We don't know how these running backs are going to play out for the Cardinals. He says all three are going to be involved. That makes me nervous. Jordan Mason or Woody Marks tunes. I'm going Woody Marks over Jordan Mason. I hate that matchup against Cleveland. I love Woody's matchup against Baltimore, the most points allowed to running backs. Yeah, I'm riding that train right now. Robert Moreno, good to see you. Would you stop Shakir to pick up Stephon Diggs? Carter worth grabbing? I'd rather have Diggs certainly over Carter. And I'd drop Pacheco for Stephon Diggs. Now, if it's one of those things where you can only have a certain amount of receivers and running backs, I'd probably pick Diggs up over Shakir. But I'd rather have Shakir than any of the running backs you mentioned, and Pacheco would be my first drop. Cesar Castillo. Is any wide receiver in San Fran interesting to start this week? I'm short on receivers. So it does depend, Cesar, who you have. I like Malik Washington, for example, more than any of the 49 wide receivers. I like Ayam Manor over either of them for sure. But let's say neither of those guys are out there. I don't mind Bourne. Second on the team in snaps, routes, and targets over the last 2 weeks. Now you don't have either Pearsall or Jennings. He has a rapport with Mac Jones. I don't mind Kendrick Bourne. I really don't. I think I said to go him over Alec Pierce earlier to somebody. Gun to my head, I'm going to go Kendrick Bourne, actually, come to think of it. So I really don't mind Kendrick Bourne. I think I'm going to roll with him if you're short on wide receivers. But let me know who the other options are. Patrick, trade Woody and Jauan for Warren? No, I'd rather have Woody. I just rather have Woody straight up. I think he's that true league-winning running back. So, no, I would not do that deal. I got picked on for drafting Scatabo in our league. I didn't pick on you. I love Scatabo. I think he's a phenomenal player. Always loved the guy. Loved his production at Arizona State. He's a beast. Beto Hinojosa. Full PPR. Who to start? Flowers with Lamar out. Harrison with the inconsistency, or Wandale bummer bust. You might have been boomer bust, but maybe you kind of Freudian slipped your way out of Wandale. I wouldn't go Wandale here. I think I stick with Flowers. I know it's risky with Lamar out. He's still been cooking this year. He's like a clear engine of this offense. I am bumping him down in the ranks, and I do have to bump up Pickens. I have him way too low as of right now. I'd rather have Pickens than Jamar Chase even this week. So he's definitely too low, as I noticed in my rankings. And Flowers, I'm going to bump down below Xavier Worthy too. But I still like Flowers over MHJ or Wandale. Jacob Schubert, non-PPR, how to fill 2 flex spots. Waddle, Slayton, Woody Marks. I would go with Waddle and Woody Marks over Slayton for sure, Jacob. And you have Achane and CMC as my running back, and Sutton and JSN at wide receiver. Yeah, so you're playing all 4 of those guys, no doubt about it. And then I play Woody Marks and Waddle for sure. I think they're clear levels above Slayton as a flex play for me. Full PPR. Stack Ertz and Jaden or play Waller. I'd stack them up. I'd play Ertz and Jaden there. Fatty Mateo. MVM. Should I trade my Mason for Ladd? I'd probably, I don't know, because Mason, he hasn't looked great. He looked great for 1 week. When the game flows right, he'll be good. But when the game flows wrong, you saw last week the risk there. But Ladd's also not doing anything either. I think if I gun to my head who's going to be more valuable by the end of the year, I'd probably pick Ladd, but I don't know. I don't like either guy. Let's put it that way. I'd rather capitalize on Mason, pair him with somebody else, and get Pickens or something, It is dark down there, Ryan. Those wide receiver choices are not pretty, but you got to do what you got to do. Fatty Mateo, leaning Waddle and Keenan as well. There you go. Average 768 and half a touchdown without. So, Fatty, you've done your research. Seems like you're locked into your guy. Let it rip. Rico over Demarcado, Tien, certainly if Chuba's out. If Chuba's in, then no. But if he's out, then it's not even close. Fatty Mateo, a punted quarterback in draft. Someone just dropped Caleb. Yeah, I mean, Caleb's the number 4 quarterback in fantasy so far. The defense is abysmal. He has to keep chucking. Ben Johnson's the real deal. Rome's the real deal. Yeah, I definitely prefer Caleb over next rest of the season. Chef El Nabi, would you trade Debo and Moore for Tet and Golden? I like the Debo side, and I like Tet more than DJ Moore. Golden to me, Golden urine in the pants. He's been useless. Debo's the best player there, and I'd rather keep Debo there. I have a weak bench. I always have someone to drop. So I've been sniping the projected number 1 D for the next week. Solid play. It's a great strategy, Fatty. I've always been more of a pick up Jauan Blue, pick up a backup running back, see what happens. I feel like that's a really nice play. Who do the Steelers have next week, Fatty? Remind me what that's looking like, because that might be the absolute genius play. Giuseppe, Wolfpack, better rest of the season stash, Isaiah Davis or Smith? We're just thinking for the rest of the season, I think it's Brashard Smith. Now, granted, Braylon Allen might be out all year, so sure, Davis could come into some real, decent value. But Brashard Smith is certainly the higher upside play should he take over the Chiefs' backfield. I love stashing him right now. And start David Monty, already have Gibbs or Dobbins. I'm going Dobbins. You can't be benching this guy. He looks just too damn good. I know that the Philly defense is solid, but give me Dobbins, and certainly if you already have Gibbs in there. And then flex PPR, Nick Chubb, Shaheed Kirk, or Kendre Miller. Pick one. I am going to go with, don't like any of these. Chubb, because Baltimore is just getting destroyed by running backs, and you hope he falls into the end zone. But man, do I prefer Woody Marks for sure. Giuseppe Russo, another one. Flex PPR, Chubb, Shaheed. Oh, you repeated that one. Come on, Giuseppe. Jauan Dom. Just traded Hunter Henry, Calvin Ridley, and Gainwell for Jacobs. I think whoever you traded with is a complete moron, Dom. You absolutely fleeced him. Yeah, sure. Hunter Henry's the number 1 tight end in fantasy. Gainwell had a huge day. He's in a committee. Hunter Henry, he's not going to finish the year as the number 1 tight end. And even if he does, great. I'd rather have Josh Jacobs. And Calvin Ridley's a complete bum. I don't know who did that deal. Absolute idiot. You fleeced him. That's like almost veto-worthy type of trade. And I should say that, with a star. I don't think any trade should be vetoed unless it's clear collusion. But, you absolutely destroyed that trade, Dom. Well done. And folks that are out there I can't pull a trade off like that. Look at that. It happens. So try to find those owners that you can prey on and take advantage. Slayton or Carter, half PPR for Jimbo Fisher. I got to go with the upside of Slayton. We've seen huge games in the past without Neighbors. And Jackson Dart looks like a great quarterback right now. So I got to go Slayton there. It's just a 3-headed nightmare for Carter. It sounds like Bam Knight even going to be involved. So give me Slayton there in that one. And Jimbo Fisher, that wraps up the mailbag. So with 1,300 of you here, one last call for that thumbs up button. Would greatly appreciate it. I think most weeks we'll probably stick to that right before kickoff time, 6:30 leading into the kickoff seems to be a little bit better. But this was nice. It is the way we had to work it in with the schedule today. Dominic, I'll answer this question. I'm 4-0. My 12-man PPR league got some decent depth at wide receiver right now, like Olave, Sutton, and got offered Jettis for CD. Would you do it? I'd rather have Jefferson in that case. Sure, you might trust Dak more than McCarthy, but what if this injury lingers for CD? If you have the depth and you're 4-0 and you feel like you want to do it, trust your gut. There's definitely a world where CD's definitely better rest of the season than Jettas, but he just cooked with Wentz. I think we can see McCarthy pick this up and have a much better stretch run. The early season schedule was brutal for the Vikings, so I'm going to stick with Jettas there is my take. But Wolfpack, rotostreetjournal.com on your way out is where these rankings will be live and updated. I'll be live again Sunday morning, 8 a.m., bright and early, ready to answer all of your fantasy football questions. Would love to have you join us there. One last call for a click on Twitter, the heart button, thumbs up button, like, shares, retweets, all that good stuff. Good luck to everybody. Ahoo, says Jaws. Love to see you. Good luck indeed. And a world full of fantasy sheep, guys. Be the wolf and make sure you go to rotostreetjournal.com, baby. Cheers.